Jen.
Hey, Dana. Hi, everyone.
Welcome to Hypnosis.
And Beyond. Today we have Jason Gobeli. He's an author, speaker, hypnotist, NLP practitioner, and neurocommunication expert.
Jason, welcome.
It's good to see you guys.
To see you. Well, we want to
Yes.
hear for all of our audience. Give us some of the highlights that have led to this moment here on Hypnosis and Beyond.
I'm just blessed that I get to know you guys and get to hang out with you guys, and I certainly appreciate you asking me because you're cool people. So you wanted to know some of the things that I've been doing, and I've been pretty busy. So I'm pretty excited. There's a lot of things that's been happening. In 2024, I wrote Infused Hypnosis, where I introduced my FFL modality. So that's the internal work. In 2025, I wrote the book Beyond Sales. It's the Neuroscience of Advanced Communication. So that's the external work. Now, in 2026, I'm releasing my book. It's going to be released probably in about a week or so, my next book. And it's called Real Estate Neuroscience, the missing piece the gurus don't teach. And that's the financial side. So I have the internal, the external, and the financial. So it's a three-way thing. So that's kind of going on. I'm pretty active, with my things corporately. I'm pretty active in, the other stuff too, because not only do I do hypnosis, I actually changed my name too. I really don't like calling myself a hypnotist, but I call myself neurocommunications expert because that's what I do. We do neurocommunications where we communicate in the mind.
How did you come up with that term?
It just seemed to fit. It just seems to fit everything I do because it transcends. It works with the hypnosis side. It works with the sales because when we're communicating with other people, and like all sales is communication anyway, and all communication is sales. When we communicate with other people, it's a mental thing. And sometimes it's not even the stuff that we say, it's the nonverbal stuff that gives communication. I mean, you know this. You've been in relationships. It's not necessarily the words, sometimes it's the tone or what's not said that can carry a lot of clout. So, it's really a communication on a subliminal level.
And so tell us more about your modality, your FFL modality.
Okay, so it's based off of principles. So just like that there is electricity, which stimulates things, or that gravity is a law that if it's going to come down because of the gravity's pulling it down. There's laws that work on a different realm, a spiritual realm, if you will, or you could even say it's an energy level. And a lot of people, many of us, we have the worries, the fears, the anxieties, and all these things that, what if this happens? Or what if this doesn't happen? Or what if, what's happening in the future? It's all this future worry and stress and anxiety and all this stuff. It's just a bunch of junk. And then others, sometimes it could be the same person, will have those things that happened in the past, the shame, the guilt, the things that happened to us, the things we've done, all that stuff that weighs us down. It can come into the now also and affect what's going on in our present lives now. So we can either be torn up what's going to happen, worrying about what's going to happen, or stressing out about what already happened. And when we're in any of those states, well, like they say, if you have one foot in the past and one foot in the future, you're just shitting all over today, right? You leave yourself wide open. And what we need to do is we need to stay right here in the now, because that's the only thing we really have. Because tomorrow, I like to do it financially. Tomorrow is a promissory note. It hasn't come yet. Yesterday is a canceled check. We've already spent that. It's done. Today, though, is cash. Today's like what we got. Today's the only thing that we have that's really worth value. Now, we can also screw up the present. And the way we ruin the present is we get caught in the selfish natures. Things like anger, greed, jealousy, all these things that have to do with our personal wants and needs and desires that can really screw up the now. So the principles that work, that will fix all of that and get us aligned and help us straighten our identity with who we really want to be, because none of us wants to be that jerk. So For the future, it's faith. That's the first F for the FFL modality. So faith in yourself, higher power, universe, whatever, faith that it's going to be okay. If you have faith, you don't have the worry, the stress, or the anxieties, or any of the stuff that might happen because you just believe and have faith that it's going to be okay. And for the past, all that muck, that stuff we did, the stuff that's been done to us, all of that mess is forgiveness, the second F. Because if we learn how to forgive ourselves and forgive others, but a lot of it has to do with ourselves. When we stop beating ourselves up and learn how to forgive ourselves, it opens up the door to acceptance. And by opening up the door to acceptance, it frees us from all that bondage that keeps us stuck in the past so we can live in the day. And now, the thing for today, to get out of that selfish nature, the anger, the greed, that jealousy stuff, all that, just that muck, to get out of that mess, we just need love. FFL, faith, forgiveness, and love. Because if we treat others with love, compassion, doing the right thing for the right reasons. Like, example, with communication, really listening and actively listening to another person instead of thinking about what you're going to say next. Because when we're thinking about what I'm going to say, that's once again stepping into that selfish nature and that selfish desire. But active listening creates communication and understanding. And that's where real relationships are built, not just short term, but long term. And that works with relationships with a spouse, with relationships with kids, with the relationships with friends, with financial relationships with partners that you're building businesses with. It all works. We really need to communicate. So that's kind of what it's all about. So yeah, and it's in everything I do.
You mean the
Yes.
philosophies of the FFL?
The FFL was in my 26 series of hypnotic CDs that I've written. It's in all 5 of the books that I've written. I mean, even the kids' book, I give them a little taste of FFL Explained for kids. Because believe it or not, the kids pick it up early. That's generational. And it's in the book that I give away for free. Do you sabotage yourself without knowing it? Because that's the way we quit sabotaging ourselves. Because we sabotage ourselves when we get so caught up into self. And a lot of times that nobody, absolutely nobody, can tear me apart and do the things that to me that I do to myself. That self-talk and that damage that I do to them. Nobody can treat me like that. I mean, if they treated me like that, I'd probably kill them if they treated me the way I treat myself sometimes. So we learn how to act differently. We learn how to forgive ourselves. We learn how to trust ourselves and have faith in ourselves. And we learn how to love ourselves. Because when we can learn how to love ourselves, we can learn how to love others. And it just makes all the difference in the world. It just opens up that possibility that we just make not only a difference in our impact in our lives, but it makes a difference in the impact of everybody's life around us.
Tell us what was your motivation? How did you come up with this modality, with this
It's
philosophy? This
just experience. I mean, look, I might be the poster child for resilience because I've been through so much in my life and so much has happened. And when you learn to re-identify yourself, because a lot of it comes from identity. I mean, they talk about it. It's who you hang around with and then your beliefs and your habits and your abilities. And identity is always at the top. Well, why not just start at the top and change the identity? Because the identities change everything else down below it. So it's a matter of working with the identity and becoming who we always wanted to be instead of who we try to identify ourselves as or think that we are or call ourselves based off of what other people have told us throughout our lives. So we need to do that. So yeah, so my modality that was created has a lot to do with my experience over the years and all the things that I've been through. So yes, absolutely. And I've been through so much, like every decade something comes up. But that's cool because I've made all the right mistakes. It makes me who I am today. All all those things came just the way they were supposed to come.
what a nice way to state it, the right mistakes.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It is. I mean, I'm a big believer in God, but you can call it whatever you want to call it. But I believe that the greater being has guided me through every single path that I needed to make in order to be who I am, and it's brought me right where I'm supposed to be. And had anything changed, I may not be where I am, or might not understand what I understand, or any of that. So we're really blessed. And here's the thing too about being grateful and being blessed is that depression and gratitude can't exist in the same state. So it's if you're feeling down or depressed or like, so many people get caught into this like bog. I call it the muck because it just makes sense. The mud, the muck, and we can get out of that. I mean, gratitude lists are very a valuable tool that you can use to get out of that. But sometimes it takes a little bit of rewiring and a little bit of thinking things differently, just like money. Because I'll talk about money because everybody likes to do that. And money's a big thing. Money is really just an expression of gratitude. And when we frame it that way, and we look at it that way, we get out of that scarcity type mentality. Oh, that I got only so much. What if I lose it? And what if I spend it on this or I don't do this? I do. That sets us up in a mindset of scarcity. Oh, I need to get more clients. I need to do this. I need to do that. It's a mindset of scarcity. But when we look at it, that there's a whole abundance in the world and that there's so much out there. I mean, we're really blessed. All of us are blessed. I mean, if you're here, you guys are for sure. But even if you're here listening to me, you have either a cell phone or a computer or something to listen on. It's a blessing to have these things. And so when I look at spending money, when I spend money, it's not like, oh my God, I got a house payment to pay. I got a bill to pay for the car, or there's an insurance payment due. It's an expression of gratitude. I will gladly pay my house payment because I have a house. You follow me? I have a place to live. Rent's not a big deal. I have a car, so I have no problem paying that. I'm thanking the universe for hey, giving me the car. Hey, here's a car payment. I'm grateful for that. Insurance, hey, I'm grateful for the security that I feel for having that there. If my kids have a doctor's appointment or something and all of a sudden I got a bill to fix something like, braces or whatever it may be, it's like, man, I am so blessed to have these kids in my life. Of course I'm going to pay this. Gratefully pay this. And then that circulates. And when that attitude of gratitude and that attitude of abundance gets attached to that, it grows because whatever we focus on grows. So if we're looking at my bank account and saying, oh man, I only got so much money in my account, well, that's an attitude of scarcity. But if we look at it and say, oh, I got so much money in my account. Once again, the same words, like I talked about in the beginning, but it's the way we say it. It's the way we see it and the way we look at things that changes it. Because when we look at things differently, it changes everything that we look at and makes it different. And the way that I see it at the quantum level. So follow me. If you get to a microscope and you look at a deep microscope, you'll see that our bodies are made of atoms. And those atoms have little electrons, and those little electrons are spinning and they're moving. That's, you can't see it because it looks solid, but it's all movement. Even when we're walking, the molecules are moving. So that's an energy. Now, if that energy moves at a bad pace, then what happens is it creates acid. It creates an acid state, which is not good for a person. If you change that pace of the energy and you change that energy and it creates a different thing, it creates an alkaline state. Now, if you have an acid state, that sets the, fight or flight mode. That's acid. You get acid in your stomach, you get the upset stomachs, you get the headaches, you start feeling those pains, you start feeling depressed and all this stuff. And I think a lot of it's happening on a cellular level deeper than we even realize based off of the energy that we're putting into it. However, if we change that energy and we come across in such a positive manner, then what happens is we start feeling good. I mean, I don't know, but I've been sick before where I've had a cold and stuff like that. Ah, it's going to be no problem. I'm going to get right through it. And then I've been in other states where it's like, oh man, it's just down. And if I think I'm down, I'm going to be down. I mean, what we focus on is going to expand. So, I got to look at all these things that I'm blessed with and be grateful for the things that I got instead of looking at what I think I might want, because what I might want might not be good for me in the first place.
I was just thinking, because you've sort of told us a little bit about your background before and speaking about being positive and all this wonderful stuff. I mean, you've been through so much. I was wondering if because I know you sort of shared it a little bit about that before, and I was wondering if you
You
could.
guys know about it. So when I was So when I was 11 years old and my dad was 35, he overdosed in the backyard. He was balling heroin and cocaine, so he overdosed in the backyard, and that was the last I saw him. He went into a coma. He died a couple of weeks later. So I grew up being the man of the house and all this stuff. I didn't want to be anything like him. I wanted to play football and be like that. But what happened is that later on, my mom remarried. We moved to California, and I got caught up in the drug culture. So for probably 11 years or so, I got into some major problems with the drugs, and I ended up in the hospital behind it. I ended up getting clean at 26. So I don't know, when you see me at different events or things like that, you'll notice that I don't drink. I don't do any mind altering things. And just probably within the past 10 or 15 years, I quit even, I don't even do caffeine because I don't need it. I don't need anything outside of me to change me. You don't either. We learn, when we can love ourselves, we don't want to fix. Like, if you're having a problem sleeping, it doesn't mean that I need caffeine to stay up. It means that, well, maybe my body's telling me I need to sleep. So we got things there for reasons, and why am I doing what my body's telling me not to do? So if we just listen, communicate with ourselves and listen to what it's telling us, we're going to be much healthier in the long run anyway. Anyway, so that said, I've been through that. I got clean. I ended up losing my job through that. I ended up being homeless for a little while. I ended getting another job. I went through some other stuff. I ended up doing really successful in that job, but I was working a lot of hours. My sales were great, corporate burnout. So I left that job and I started my own. I was doing real estate investing and teaching real estate seminars across the United States. I ran that into a multi-million-dollar company. I owned 35 houses in 4 different states, maybe 5. It was 4 or 5. And I was teaching real estate seminars across the United States. Well, when the market crashed, my mortgages were like $30,000 a month. I went bankrupt. That was back in '08. I went bankrupt for $4.5 million. So I had to redefine myself again. So I redefined myself again. We lost everything. We lost the house we were living in. We lost all of our cars. I had kids, my wife. We were taking care of my father-in-law. So we went through that, and I started my real estate brokerage. And then when COVID happened, that kind of died. And I've always done self-hypnosis, and I've always studied the power of positive thinking. So I started studying hypnosis and neuro-linguistic programming, and I found out it's all the same thing anyway. It's not anything different. There's nothing new under the sun. As a quote I absolutely love, it says that all wisdom is plagiarized. Only ignorance is original. Man, when I heard the guy say that quote, I thought, man, that's awesome. And I said, that's a great quote that this guy said. Then later on, I found out he stole it from someone else on the internet and it was anonymous. But it's so true that it's all there. And it all has to do with our attitude and how we see things and how we're open up to things. So when we come across with a different attitude, it changes things. So that thing with my father, for a lot of years, I carried a lot of resentment towards my dad for abandoning me and stuff like this. But I learned later, once I learned how to forgive myself for the stuff that I'd done, I learned that he's not dad, he's a human being. And when I can strip the labels of father off of him, I strip the expectations of what I expect a father to be off of him. And when I allow him to be a human being, it made all the difference in the world. Because then I saw that, dude, he was struggling. He probably felt terrible about himself, thinking that I'm addicted and I have all these problems with drugs and I got 4 kids at the house that I can't keep care of. He probably felt like he might have thought he was better off dead than alive. So I look at him differently and I feel sorry for him now. I'm not angry, but thinking like maybe there's hope. And then I get grateful because I'm not stuck in that anymore. Like, I know what it's like to get it pulled out from under you, but then I also know what it's like not to be stuck. We're not victims of our past. I'm not a victim of my past. You're not a victim of your past. We can always create today because today is right now. So that's what we do. We live right here, right now, and do the best that we can right now, and everything else works. Tomorrow, we don't have to worry about that. It's going to be okay. I can guarantee it's going to be okay because you know why? Because it's always better than anything that I have planned. If I took a list and wrote down everything that I thought that I'd want in life, I'd sell myself short because God is ways are so much better than mine. I'm going to use the word God because I like to use that. If follow me, if I understood that, if I had a God that I understood, a God of my understanding, it would have to be a really small God to fit in this little brain. You see what I'm saying? I don't have to understand. I have to trust. And so that's the difference. And so many people, they don't, the words are so important. They get hope, faith, and trust mixed up because they think they're the same thing. But they're absolutely not the same thing. Hope is when I go to the grocery store to buy a lottery ticket and I hope that I'm going to win. I hope that this is going to happen. I'm not even sure it's going to happen. I'm just hoping, right? So that's one thing. There's a hope. There's maybe a chance. You know, faith is when I believe it's going to happen. Like I really believe that things are going to happen. So I put faith. I have faith in it. But that faith can grow into trust. Now I know my thing says faith because it starts with faith. But faith can grow into trust. Trust and faith is different. I'm gonna explain it to you the way that it was explained to me. I love this. If I take my son and I put my son on top of the refrigerator and I said, "Hey, jump into daddy's arms." Now he may have all the faith in the world that I'm going to catch him. But trust is when his little feet leave the top of the fridge and he's airborne. That's the difference, is having trust and being able to act on that faith. So if I believe that everything's going to be okay, and I believe it's going to work out, and I put action behind those beliefs, then it's all going to work out the way it's supposed to. Even if it doesn't work out the way that I want it to, it's going to work out better because we live in such a great world of abundance. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
I think that's a great distinction to explain, what those terms mean to you and help us understand, kind of the basis of your modality. So if a client comes to you, what is a general starting point that you take with people?
It depends on what they need.
Yeah. I
So
know
the
that's a
first question,
general question, you know.
yeah, the first question is, what do you want? Even when I'm doing instant induction, like if I'm hypnotizing somebody on the street, I'll say, hey, dude, what do you want? Why waste a good trance? What do you want? Because once you have the carrot, what they want, the carrot you can dangle in front of them, then they're going to be willing to cooperate with you to get the carrot. So that just gets rid of all that. So it's just, what do you want? Okay, if I can do this, then we're going to do this, right? And it's like, boom, you got it. So the first thing is you find out what they want. Now, the other things, like when I put the FFL in there, I use a lot of Ho'oponopono and things like this. But when I do this, what I do is I find out what they want, and then I look for the path to get them to where they need to go. And most of it has to do with those things. Most of it has to do with getting rid of the baggage that's been holding us back, whether it's future baggage, past baggage, or present baggage, because it's going to be coming from somewhere. And it's always happening now. We always say it's happening now, but some of it is residue from the past or fear for the future. That's causing the problem right now.
Well, so do you have for our audience, do you have any, you mentioned a gratitude list?
Yes, you can always do gratitude because I got some free things I can give. So if you go to my website, I got 4 websites now, but if you go to go-under.com/self-sabotage, you can get my book for free, Do You Sabotage Yourself Without Knowing It. You can just get that for free. It's under go-under.com/self-sabotage. Or if you'd rather not read, because a lot of people just don't like to read, and you really want to experience a shift, you can go to my website, go-under.com/better, better, dash life, life, dash choices, choices, better life choices. And you'll get a free self-hypnosis CD that I've created. It's called Better Life Choices. I love it. I think it's slow. It's not an instant induction like I teach and use. It's a nice, slow, progressive induction. First, I do an introduction, then I do the induction. Then after I do the induction, I got a heavy metaphor on making better life choices. You'll absolutely love it. It's phenomenal. And then after the metaphor, then I do all the affirmations and all the direct suggestions in hypnosis. And then after the direct suggestions in hypnosis, I throw anchoring in there. So it anchors everything down and brings everything together. And then after that, I throw in the FFL modality. And so I bring it all home and get rid of all that past, present, and future and get that stuff centered and aligned. And then we come out. Either we come out, well, in the one I give away for free, you come out. I have another one where you just stay under and work on it all night long.
Nice. Well, that's very generous of you. Thank you for sharing that. And Jen, I'm going to go on to our next segment unless you have other questions. Okay, right. Okay, very good. Well, Mr. Jason, we have our next segment is our silly subconscious question.
Oh, that's right.
And our question for you today, Mr. Gobeli, is if your laugh had a logo, what would it look like?
Oh, it would look like that. And it would spin like that. Yeah. Yeah, because that's the way it works. We all just go down that rabbit's hole sometimes. And so yeah, so that's actually, if there was a logo, that's my logo. So my new website, jasongobeli.com, is a landing page website. So the first one's internal. So it sends us to the gounder.com for the hypnosis stuff, go under hypnosis. The second one is for my speaking engagements and my trainings and my seminars and stuff like that. So it goes to the FFL Neurocommunications website. It's neurocommunications.com, neuro-communications.com. And then the third one goes to the financial side, which is my real estate side. Solid Resolutions or Solid Real Estate Solutions, but it's solidresolutions.com is the website. So it leads it there. Now, the reason I brought that up is because all three of them kind of have the same type of color scheme. And this is the logo that I've created. So that's my logo that I use for me. But Go Under Hypnosis says Go Under Hypnosis around it for my hypnosis. The Neuroscience, it's kind of got like an eye shape around it, almost like a football shape around it. And it's got the FFL. So it's pretty much everywhere anyway, because that symbolizes our mind. And this is a sign of commitment, by the way, because when I tattooed it on, I was pretty much in it all the way. So the lines in the maze are like our mind. These are the choices that we have, options that we have to make. The red one is different than the black ones because that's the choice we actually take in life. Now, if you look at the center, there's going to be a diamond. And the diamond in the center represents our inner self, our soul, our true self, our spirit. And the circle around it is the protection, that spiritual source of strength within us that protects us, our soul, our inner self, from the choices that we make. So when we take that blue, the blue healing, it protects us from those choices that we make in life and protects our core. So yeah, so that's what it represents.
Beautiful.
So
I love it.
Amazing.
So-
Beyond what we spoke about today, is there anything you want to leave the audience with? Some words of wisdom?
yeah, words of wisdom. Okay, how about constructive words of wisdom? This is going to come in handy for everyone out there. So you can have knowledge. There's a lot of people with knowledge, and they know everything. They study this, they study that, they study this. But knowledge alone won't get you where. Because there's a lot of people who are broken, unhappy, and they're smart, but they're just not getting where they want to get because they have knowledge. Now, you can have action. Busy, doing this, doing that. I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this. But action's not going to get you there either. Because you can be like a hamster spinning on the wheel. You probably know people, or you might have even been there yourself. I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, and I'm not getting where I want to go because you're just spinning. And then there's the other one. You can have the mindset. Be the most positive person in the world. Be sitting there, oh, I know this is going to go my way. I'm thinking positively. I'm studying manifestation. I know I'm going to make this happen. But there's a lot of people out there who believe that everything's going to happen and they're in a mess. Their life's a mess, but they're so positive and things are going wrong and they're like, "Oh man, why does this keep happening to me?" See, all those things are important, but none of them alone work. As a matter of fact, two of them together don't work. But if you can take the mindset, combine it with the knowledge, and combine it with the action, and put all three together, then you got a successful system. Then you're going to be, then you're unstoppable. You're unbeatable. You can do whatever you want to do. You can accomplish anything in the world. But you got to have the mindset that it's going to be okay and you're going to get through it. You got to have the faith. You can't let the past roll you down. You got to be able to step into that. You got to have that right mindset. And then you got to have the knowledge to know what you're going to do. Because if you don't have that knowledge, you're not going to get there. And then last, you got to put in the footwork. How do you expect to get it if you don't put in the footwork? You know, faith without works is dead. You got to put in the footwork. So there you go. So that is it. Mindset, knowledge, action, bring it all together. And if you don't have the knowledge, get the knowledge. If you don't have the mindset, then reprogram that mind and get that mindset. And if you don't have the action, well, then you need to get off your ass.
Plain and simple.
Boom.
Isn't it though?
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
there we go. And
Yeah,
well,
so
thank you so much for sharing all of that. I love the positive message and just the theme of everything was really cohesive and it's really helpful. And with that, Jen, what do we always say?
Peace out.
Peace out.
see you guys. Thank you.